What's up, everybody? It's the talented Mr. Taco here with the Daily Sporting for another one of these Into the Fish Bowls. This is my part two. This is going to be more of a veteran's perspective. So I got Rumboy, Robbie, and Justin Peak on here to discuss everything. Robbie, I first and foremost got to say thank you for helping me get into the fish bowl. That was something that I didn't think I was going to make it this year, and it's super cool to be invited in. So
I
I'm
told you I
cramming
was
right
gonna
now.
fucking do it. I told you I was gonna do it. I was like, yo, watch. Like I'm letting
Yeah.
you know straight up, my guy, I got some pools. So, we made it happen. We did the thing.
Yep. So I definitely appreciate that. And Justin, I want to thank you too, because you were the first person to reach out when I asked to have some veterans on, and you were definitely receptive to that, and I very much thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to jump on and help however I can.
Yeah, man. And I've seen that you've done it for a couple of times. So I guess the first question that I have, like I was saying, is like what's your reaction, or how do you feel about the leagues? Like what makes it so like special and unique?
Yeah, I've done it since SFB 9 was my first entry. I actually got in that year. So the draft is on July 6th. I got in on the 4th. So
Yeah.
we still aren't even to quite how like last minute my invite was that year. I was definitely one of those. I'm sure there's probably some invites still to go out this year, but to those people that are still hopeful, hey, it potentially can happen. So,
So,
but it's basically just for me, it's a big league to be able to connect with a bunch of other people. Whether it be in your particular conference or division, we always get a division chat together. So being able to actually get to know the other people that are in your division, or just seeing somebody cool like Bunch Bell was in my conference once, so I could kind of keep track of how I was doing compared to her and everything, or always the draft slot chats too, with having hundreds of people in there are always super fun as well. So it's always about that networking and getting to know other people. Playing fantasy is cool too, and trying to be better at it than everybody. Definitely into that. But the people that I've gotten to know through the last couple of years, when I started, I think I had like 200 followers, and I'm pushing to 1,000 now, and just constantly getting connected. And I mean, I probably followed 400 people then too, and now I'm following over 1,000 that people that I found through the Scott Fish Bowl to connect with and everything, get their insights from, just getting their perspective on stuff too. It's a great league for that.
yeah, yo, I want to shout out Pat and Raj up in the chat. Raj, I see we got there's another Rumboyz up in the chat. There's another Rumboy. He actually
He's
got
amigos, I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah, he's in your division. He's in your division.
Yeah.
I got both y'all guys in. So it's a whole vibe. This is y'all know what the vibes is. Y'all know what time it is. Let's go.
So Robbie, how about you? How's your experiences been in Scott Fishbowl, and what do you really take from it?
So my first SFB was a satellite in 2018, and then my first like official Scott Fishbowl that I was in was actually SFB 9 as well. So from SFB 9 all the way to now SFB 11, I have enjoyed the ride. It's everything that JP just stated, in the essence that I get to network with a lot of awesome people. From my division chat. Shout out to the Tupac division. Shout out to all the fours out there. Shout out to all the fours at the fourth draft spot. But more importantly for me, it's about I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna whoop ass anyways in fantasy football. But the fact that I can whoop ass in the name of a good cause. And this year, normally it's been a donation to Fantasy Cares. This year, you're competing for whether you may have made a donation to Fantasy Cares, or you may have dropped off a toy at a Toys R Us drive, the traditional ways that Scott Fish has always done it, or you are competing for your own charity. I can't lose. Like I can't lose for my cause. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna say it. No one knows what I'm competing for yet. I am competing for Black Lives Matter because I worked on a police accountability reform board last year. So just kind of keeping that going. So yeah, super excited. We're out here competing for a good cause, and We're gonna kick ass and take names. I'm sorry if you have to compete against me.
I see that. That's awesome, and that's the approach I'm taking from it too. I'm like, I'm trying to like meet and talk to as many people as possible because this is like my first real time in the fantasy football Twitterverse. Like I was kind of more off on the side lately, and it's been awesome just the amount of different people with strategies in the group chat that I'm in. So it's just cool, and I think that's been one of the biggest things that I have taken so far. Is there's a lot of people that are willing to help and like willing to guide you and willing to show you what's going on in this community. And I'm super grateful for that because it just makes it so much easier for someone to try to like get a bearing of what's going on and how to try to compete and how to try to have fun out of it. Because at the end of the day, the more people have fun, the more people that talk about it, the bigger it's going to get, the more causes we can help. Right. That's the goal at the end of the day, right?
And before we go any further, and get into like the thick of the episode, I just want to make sure I put out. If you did not get in, just like it was stated earlier, those invites are still going out. My first year, I didn't get mine until the tail into the ass end. Those invites are still going out, but if you haven't got in, if you don't get into a satellite league, involve yourself in a satellite league. That's a great way to begin networking. And develop your brand and build your brand. But also, if you're going to compete in a satellite league, still do it for a good cause as well because you're still a part of the Scott Fishbowl.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the best part with the satellite this year too. Is all the division winners get a spot in the SFB 12. And so, if you haven't signed up for a satellite, I definitely know those invites are still going out. As I've been helping a little bit with those. So,
definitely.
I'll work some more on them and try to get you in.
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll put that link in the YouTube comments later on. So if anyone wants to get a link to it, it'll be in the comment section for you guys later. But yeah, that's awesome and it's so exciting. And the one thing I think I also want to say is I'm so competitive, and it's like you get to compete against some of the best guys in the industry for this cause. And I think that with the unique scoring setting, you get to see people like develop new kind of strategies that you're not going to see because this isn't like 1 point PPR or something like that. This is, I feel like, completely unique. And the fact that you have all the big guys in it is going to create, some interesting things to do. So first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up like the scoring from last year. So these were like the top guys that were there. Rodgers was number 1. Allen was number 2. Mahomes 3, Watson 4, Murray 5, like heavy tight ends. But then you see Kelsey and Kamara and Henry actually popping their heads up.
My guy, Derrick Henry.
Some of these quarterbacks. So
Ryan Tannehill skill.
So I guess my first question that I got for you guys is should we believe this QB hype that we need to go in there and make sure we get a QB early? Or do you think that it's trying to get some of these great positional players like the Christian McCaffrey, like the Travis Kelsey, who get the bonus because this is a tight end premium, or getting the Derrick Henry, who everyone's like, he's a rushing guy, he's not a quarterback. But when you look at it last season, he outscored guys like Lamar Jackson and Tom Brady and Justin Herbert, guys that you would normally be drafting ahead of him. So, I mean, what are we doing in some instances? So I guess we'll start off with,
yeah, I was about to say, I'll just start off by deferring to my colleague there, Justin. Go ahead, brother. Oh, he wasn't ready. He wasn't ready for me to defer.
No, he's muted. Let me.
There we go.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I was all ready for you to go. So, I mean, definitely with any Superflex league, quarterback is always important, and you're definitely at least going to want to get one in the first few rounds. But that's one of the beautiful parts with like how Scott does the specific QB scoring. The tight end premiums, like doing the double, the full PPR, full 5 points per first down for the tight ends. It really balances everything out. And it does bump up even the running backs with having it like the half PPR and half point per first down. The running backs get a little bit of bump there with even the rushing first downs. They're able to get there. So Derrick Henry definitely did well there. That first round, I mean, literally, you're almost assuredly going to see at least Travis Kelsey go. I've seen some mocks where even Darren Waller's going. So the tight ends in the first round still make sense. Obviously, the running backs do, and then definitely the quarterbacks. Just they always score the most points, but especially with having a start. or can start 2 of them. They're going to push out. The wide receivers tend to be, even though they definitely are up there in the scoring too, because they're so deep. There's just so many wide receivers, and they all, score quite a bit. You can generally wait until, at least the 3rd or 4th, 5th round to go and grab your first wide receiver. But really, quarterback, running back, tight end, there's any direction you can still build a solid team around, and that, like I said, that's the beauty of why Scott designs the scoring this way, and I love it. I model a lot of my other leagues after it too.
One of the things that I would like to mention, whenever you are looking at, I don't think that we necessarily need to buy into the early QB hype per se, as more so as it is. Well, what SFB teaches us is you have the ability to go and get your guy. I completely agree. You need to be waiting on receiver in this format, okay? There are, even in regular redraft leagues, dynasty and redraft leagues, we learn that receiver is a dime a dozen. There are significantly more receivers that I can have and I can score points with versus, some of the other positions. What I will say with quarterback is you want to focus on completion percentage. Okay, so you want to get a guy that has that on the high end has a damn good completion percentage that can complete that can complete, doesn't throw a whole hell of a lot of interceptions, doesn't turn the ball over a lot. That's what you're wanting in terms of your quarterback in the Scott Fishbowl. Of course, your tight end premium is going to break a difference in terms of that extra half a point. Me personally, I'm going to wait on tight end. I know that you were breaking down some of the tight ends there, and there's some guys you can wait on, like a Logan Thomas, Rob Tanyan, Mark Andrews, so on and so forth. That you could kind of wait on. I wouldn't mind maybe starting off with a Derrick Henry, and then on the turnaround, or maybe even waiting, later, getting a guy like Matt Ryan, or right after the first round after grabbing a Derrick Henry. My most recent mock, I went Derrick Henry, Gibson, DeAndre Hopkins, and then Matt Ryan, and then I grabbed Goddard as my tight end. I love that team. I would roll into the SFE with that team. Nothing wrong with going Henry and then Tannehill, or Henry and then let Russ cook. Even though he was kind of undercooking some bacon last year, but that's besides the fucking
point. Well, see that's where I get into my analyst thing, because Russ was pretty solid last year. If we look at him, he was in that top half. He was one of those top 6 quarterbacks with the 400, and I like where your guys' perspectives is. It's very much like you can go in any direction if you get your right guy for the strategy that you want to build. And it's really interesting because while you guys were talking, I was sitting here and I was scrolling through all the different positional stats and seeing who was scoring. And definitely, I think the biggest and most notable thing is that huge gap in that tight end position. I guess that's why so many people feel the need to grab Kelsey in those top early picks and Waller, because I feel like with that premium to him, there's very few guys who can really take advantage of that, unique scoring category.
Correct.
And the biggest question here I think I have for you guys next would be, how many tight ends would you be looking for, and how many quarterbacks would you looking for? Do you think that you have to have 2 quarterbacks in this type of settings in order to make it, or do you think that you can build a team without having 2 quarterbacks, even though it is a super flex?
I would prefer to have, maybe 2, because how deep the draft can get. If there's a way I can maybe snipe something from someone else, maybe even having 3 quarterbacks, I don't have a problem rostering 2 tight ends. At all. We have to remember with SFB, it's like best ball and regular redraft got together. They met each other at a bar, and then they rented a hotel room afterwards. Girl, you wanna come to my hotel? And they're like, let's get it on. And then they had they had this child, and it created the SFB, and that's where we get a lot of this wacky ADP and the scoring and things of that nature. So you have to keep those two things in mind. You're playing best ball with the ability for you to tinker with your roster and your roster only. There's no trades, none. You know, so you're really trying to walk out with the best team possible with having to maybe tinker on the waivers as little as possible.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And your thoughts?
Yeah, you'll definitely see. You'll see a lot of people in Superflex leagues, especially dynasty community, that will talk about. I mean, they're just king. You get however many you can, but that's definitely an interesting aspect with the SFB. You don't trade them, so it doesn't matter how many you have. You can still only start 2. I don't think I've even left like the 5th rounds in the other 2 SFBs without 2 quarterbacks. Maybe the 6th was the deepest I took my QB2. I honestly can't remember. I probably need to pull it up. But I definitely think getting 2 solid quarterbacks, especially with the scoring this year, where like I said, with that completion percentage stuff for the sacks, the lower tier quarterbacks definitely get pushed down a lot. So if you're going to have 2 solid quarterbacks to start, you definitely are going to have to get them early. The lower tier ones that QB 25 to QB 30 may not actually even make it in your super flex if it were best ball or anything. Like, they may not be your best horse. I had a couple of weeks. I mean, even some solid guys. Last year, Wentz got like negative 19 points, I think, one week, just constantly taking sacks, and then negative 4 for the interceptions, and negative 2 more for the pick sixes. It definitely hurts those lower QBs. Like I said, Wentz ended up having some other good games, and so he wasn't terrible. But there are some of the guys that when you get to that lower spot, you may not be starting that. Like, just because they're starting quarterback in the league doesn't mean they're starting on anybody's roster. So I'm not.
Oh, go ahead.
You're fine.
I was going to say SFB can tend to lean towards the player that understands just pure football in its purest form. I mean, what do a lot of real NFL GMs do? They're going to build from where? That QB first. So this scoring format kind of does favor a lot of those guys. It's been noted on Twitter before where, hey, fans, a casual fan has gone out and won the SFB and has done better than analysts in the SFB because it is essentially, playing real GM, playing, Madden GM. So I just want to make sure I put that out there. You have to be open to a wide range of different strategies. There is no set thing that Justin or myself can say that dictates what you should do. You have to be water. Shout out to Bruce Lee.
Right. And one other thing, because I think that's some great perspectives that you guys have here. But one other thing here that we now know that this is a super flex, but this is the first year that they have kickers that are actually in this league. And when you think about the here we go, all kickers matter is right.
Kickers matter.
Kickers matter.
Think about this. So I was just perusing these stats as we're talking, right? And I saw Daniel Jones, who, in most cases is probably going to be drafted in the earlier probably rounds when someone's desperate for a quarterback because he does have, upside, but he is a turnover machine. He does get sacked. And in this kind of league, you can get penalized for that. And when you look at it, there's almost 11 kickers that outscored Daniel Jones last season.
Yep.
So, like, as a super flex, I was thinking, like, maybe I get a kicker, but I mean, these guys might be somewhat valuable this season to a couple of teams, especially depending if you're caught in after that 3rd round reversal and you're desperate for someone in those later rounds.
And I love that you say this. Listen, I'm gonna put it like this: my old ho was tripping, but my young ho cool. Okay, if I could go out there and I could play a kicker that is going to outscore any other player on my roster in that flex spot, I'm gonna do it. Numbers are numbers, all right? Men lie, women lie, but numbers don't lie, all right? I don't care if you are anti-kicker or if you are pro-kicker, all right? Fantasy football at times does meet reality. A lot of the reason why people don't like playing with kickers is because a missed kick can cost them a win in their leagues. Listen, this is extra skin in the game. I came in here to be a fantasy football analyst, but at the same time, I love the real damn game. Thank you, Scott, for adding kickers. Let's go out there and kick ass and take names with some kickers. Ooh, I like that. Kick ass and take names with kickers. Oh yeah.
And how about you, Justin? I know you're repping that all kickers matter movement, so I'm assuming that you're gonna have a couple of these guys.
I have no clue if I'm going to end up getting any of these guys because, I mean, like Robbie said too, we got to be water. And since so many of the analysts, SFB is probably 2/3 at least analysts or so. Most of the people that you're drafting with are going to be analysts, and they've been preaching for years. No kickers. Kickers are, like we need to get rid of these in our game. We just played skill position players and everything. So I have no clue where any of them rank them, especially with not having to start one and everything. I don't know when they're going to draft them. And yeah, they could end up deciding that they go too early. So it's going to be a really fun part when it comes to the actual draft of seeing when the kickers go. And I definitely am not opposed to grabbing some, but I have no clue if everybody else is going to grab them in the 7th round or so, like start getting them in the 6th, 7th round, then I'll probably end up being out. But if they wait till the 12th or 13th, then
what I'm seeing in my mocks, Jay, is a lot of the people are trying to avoid the kickers, and it's only if you start the run that other people fall into it. So I started the run, and I started with Young Ho Koo in one of my, and actually 2 of my mocks. And that's what triggered people because I started, but I think it's because they saw the psychology of where I took them. I took them in I took Young Ho Koo in both mocks. I want to say 3 rounds before the end, and it was pretty clear cut that like any other option I could have taken, a kicker is going to outscore any of those options. Any of that bucket of players that were there, and then that's what started the run. And it took a lot of people to catch on. So I think that there's enough. I mean, mocks are mocks, right, bro? You know this just as well as I do. But I think that there's enough for guys like you and I that are pro kicker where we can just keep stocking skill, and then still walk away with the top prospect kicker.
Yeah, I mean, just from me looking at this right now, it looks like it's going to be one of the biggest curveballs because so many people, I think now, are like, there's very few people that talk about the kicker being something, especially in those later rounds when people aren't as, easily, scoring these points. It's more of a question mark. He might get it. He might not get it. And you're looking at some of these kickers because look at it. Hilton had 157 points. He was 41 last season. Young Wei Koo was 165. He would have outscored the number, where's Hilton? 41 receiver. That's pretty high for a kicker to be considered, considering you have 12 teams and you're drafting 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs, 4 flex spots, 1 quarterback. That's a lot of positions.
And from a strategy standpoint, so if you were to ask me, is there with this particular curveball, okay, not even getting into the curveball 3rd round reversal, just this one particular curveball of kickers being added, the person that I fear in leagues to pull off that curveball early, it is the statistician. It is the statistician. I don't fear the necessarily more so casual analyst as much as I do the pro kicker advocate and the statistician, because the statistician is going to be looking at numbers anyways. The pro kicker advocate is going to be looking just for when they can pull the trigger as early as they can anyways. So knowing what we know about what you just said with the player comparisons, I'm not put it this way. I'm not gonna roast you if you pull off Young Ho Koo in freaking round 7, round 8, because I know the data.
Yeah, that's the crazy part about this game right now is that it's going to be the perfect combination of analytics and gut, because there's going to be guys at the bottom of the roster when you're starting to get low that you think might win the job. This is a toss-up job, and you might be able to get it. And like you said, there's no trades. So if I see there's like a Melvin Gordon type where, you know, hey, everyone's fading Melvin Gordon because of the Broncos and the rookie doesn't take over and now he's into it, you know, you benefit from it. So I guess the next question that I have for you guys is how often do you guys look to stack or get backups to your players? Like, do you look at like, I'm going to get like the Jets running back situation, or do you guys look at like, I just want to get as many running backs as I can?
I am the stack god. So let's say I'm not this personality type, right? But in this format, for those of you at home watching, right? Yeah, I saw Roger's comment. He's like, "Come here,
Roger's hilarious right now."
That's that
don't worry,
Rumboyz
don't
shit.
worry, bro. Don't worry, bro. I probably would have taken him before that.
But damn. See, now you done made me forget the question.
Sorry. Oh, so the question right now, basically that we're looking at is: you said you're stack lord, stack god?
Okay, yeah. I'm the stack god. So no. So what I would do in this scoring format, now I remember what I was gonna say, is I would go, if I'm gonna go early QB, I'm not this guy. This is not my personality type. But if I was this personality type, go Kyler Murray. All right, we're talking what 3.9% drop rate for that whole entire receiving core. Like they do not drop passes a whole hell of a lot. I just told you guys, I know that mocks don't happen in reality the same way, but we know that the data tells you that you can go receiver late. If I can go Kyler Murray, running back, or either Kyler Murray, tight end, running back, or running back and tight end, and then pull off DeAndre Hopkins in like the fourth or like the third, I'm stacking that. And then, because then from there on, I could just now wait on the lesser receivers. I can maybe, pull off a DJ Shark. I can, pull off, I'm trying to think of some mid-tier guys. A DK Metcalf. Because he'll still be leaving because people will still be trying to go on the run for running backs and trying to pick up where they didn't get the stuff in the early rounds. There's a lot of different things that you can do. So, yeah, I'm always looking for an opportunity to stack. Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen, that's doable. Super doable. That's doable even outside of SFB formats. I just want to put that out there. So keep your eyes open, folks. Always be looking to stack.
Yep. Matt Stafford and Cooks. So how you feeling about this? The handcuffs and the stacks, Jeff?
Matt Stafford, Cooks, good one, yeah. Or no, not Cooks. Matt Stafford and Woods.
Yeah.
I'm not looking to handcuff really. Just with this format, and really not necessarily the scoring format or anything, but with it being such a huge pool, this year 1,900 people in it, 1,920. You got to beat a lot of people. And so I am going to probably try to stack at least one of my quarterbacks with a wide receiver, just because, or maybe even a quarterback with a tight end, or hell, maybe all three. But it'll, again, just kind of depend on how the draft goes on exactly where, but at least one of my quarterbacks that I draft early, I am going to try to stack one of them up. But in terms of the handcuffs, we're trying to get like an entire backfield with this type of format. Like, you need a hit, and in my opinion, or maybe multiple hits. And so that's where, like last year, I did Derrick Henry in the second, I believe, either first or second. But I drafted Derrick Henry, and then I waited till like the 9th or 10th round to grab another running back. But all my running backs that I took like 5 within the next 6 or 7 rounds or so. I mean, I stacked them all up, but it was all from different offenses, but just somebody that might be able to end up taking over. And I ended up getting lucky. That's one of the that we drafted in July. I drafted Antonio Gibson before the Geist news and everything, and him getting cut. So that obviously worked out for me, and he turned into a very real running back too. But
that happened with me with Herbert. That was me with Herbert, bro. That was me with Herbert. So I feel you.
Damn.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going for, is just like hoping one of those guys really hits, so then I can get like my guys. And I may not necessarily do that with the running back position. It just kind of played out that way with the draft. But that's where, like I said, I'm not necessarily going for handcuffing or anything. If my first round guy gets hurt, I'm probably not going to win the whole thing anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. You're probably
with
fucked on that point
1,900
on.
people.
Yeah.
It's not that. I mean, I may still make the playoffs and everything. I may still do well with getting my first round guy hurt and everything. It's not that I'm just doomed. But I'm probably not going to be able to beat 1,900 people, or
It's a lot of tinkering. It's a lot of tinkering. Yeah, it's a lot of tinkering because there are no trades. And I mean, it's not really like you can bench someone and or taxi them or things of that nature. One of the things that you mentioned there, my brother Justin, is, I mean, how you don't handcuff. I don't recommend handcuffing in this format. I honestly don't. Have the best of the best ready to go, fired up, ready to go. If someone goes down, have the best of the best next best person to come up. I mean, we saw last year. I'll take SFB out of the conversation and just utilize regular fantasy football for you guys. We saw if you guys picked up Boone or what's the other guy back there in Minnesota? Not Boone, not Ham, Madison, Alexander Madison. Those were not. They you expected, okay, they're going to go off as soon as Cook goes out, and they didn't. You would have been better off maybe grabbing Pollard out of Dallas, as a backup to Cook, and that would have worked out better. Or late round, Gibson was on waivers in a lot of leagues. He was heading in before he really popped off. He was only about 63% roster. So you take that into account. Maybe you could have went and grabbed a Gibson. So with this format, how I use the analogy, and I made the joke earlier about this being best ball mixed with redraft, because you're only tinkering what you have to work with. There's no trading. I mean, there's a waivers, but there's no trading. You need to hit, and you need to hit right out the gate.
That's actually like the next question I have is, with the waiver system being it is, and the rosters being so deep, generally when you're on the waivers, what do you normally see? Is it a situation or a scenario where you're able to find some gems in the rough, or is it really just like
it's really difficult? It's tough mudding. Like, I'm gonna be honest. I was the person last year. This is a very true Scott Fishbowl testimony here in this house I'm in right now. My missus and I, we were laying in bed. I was having a beer. I was drafting SFB from my phone. This a little beer just slipped, and I had a grip on it too, and the universe was just like, not today, and it slipped, and I was right in the middle about to grab some prime quarterbacks. My timer ran out. Everybody else had ended up picking it. I'll pick me some fucking, I think it was it gave me like some random player. I don't remember who it gave me. And I missed out on all the quarterbacks until I was able to get back online for 48 hours. When I was finally able to get on and make a pick, I ended up with Justin Herbert. I mean, and it worked out, but I didn't have anything else. I had Justin Herbert. I had fucking Andy Dalton once, Dak had gotten injured. I had Dwayne Traskins to start my season, because Tyrod had to get punctured in the lung first. So it was just all I had these soap operas at the QB position in SFP, all because of a little beer spilling on my phone. And trying to go through the season, I had Ben DiNucci at one time on my roster. Then I had grabbed Jameis when Drew Brees was out, and then James wasn't working out really well, so then I picked up Taysom. I did anything and everything. I ended up with Ryan Fitzmagic when they were like, we're not going to roll with, we're going to roll with Fitzmagic, and then they started Tua. Someone had already had Tua, and I was like, fuck, so it's very hard to operate waiver wire. You don't want to get caught with your pants down on the waiver wire at QB. Prepare yourself, like I said, wait on receiver. You can wait on receiver. You'll find gems at receiver. You won't find gems at other positions.
And how about for you, Justin?
That's what I would say with the waivers too. I mean, it's definitely going to be tough mud, and there's not, granted, kickers are where you would normally stream anyway, but there's no streaming tight ends if you would ever try that or anything. The people that are on waivers are generally trash. You'll find those nuggets with the same one, but the same ones you find in all the other leagues that, especially after the first couple weeks, that all of a sudden blow up that you didn't realize, in the preseason, or like last year where we didn't even have a preseason or anything, that you didn't realize that those were coming up, and so you can end up picking them up. Or that's one of the fun parts with SFB, because we're drafting in July. That first round, once waivers open up, there's definitely there's some stuff to be had. SFB 9 was when Andrew Luck retired, and I'm gonna draw a blank on who the Colts was for the rest of the year.
Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah, Brissett. There you go. But yeah, I picked him up.
I
spent
Brissett.
The entire $100. I spent my entire $100 of fab on Brissett, because when are you going to find like a starting, not just a injury fill in and everything for a couple of weeks before the guy comes back, but like Luck retiring, and he's going to be the guy all year. So I spent my whole thing on it. So if you do find anybody that is, set for a starting role and everything, definitely spend on him and figure out a way to get him. It's hard. Don't count on the waivers.
Yeah. Don't count on waivers.
And I think that the number one thing that you guys, reminding me here is it's a fab waiver system. So it's not going to be like your traditional, or at least for me and standard PPR mock draft. Redraft leagues. It's not a standard. I go pick somebody up or I waiver for him. I have to actually put it in a dollar amount and seeing somebody else can outbid me for these guys. So if you have a guy, you got to get your guy.
You in the Migos joint, so y'all trying to toss around bread anyways.
Man, listen, I'll be super cheap. I like to make those moves for like $1 and just I'll exchange guys out. Like last year when the Jets, Braxton Berrios had that touchdown in his first appearance, I was like predicting it on like a 0%. So that feels like the kind of hunting I'm gonna have to be doing in this league if I'm looking for waivers. So that's definitely good to know. I think lastly, one of the last things that I really want to touch on here for you guys is with this third round reversal, do you think that it's going to impact any kind of strategies for you in your early rounds? Do you think you have to kind of like start accounting for it, or you just kind of just roll it as it goes?
It leverages, I will say the third round reversal leverages certain players. If you are not, and this is where I say play your game, like head into SFB, playing your game. For guys like Justin and I that are I think Justin touched on, he has a favoritisms, of running backs. He favors running backs. A couple of I had a SFB pod last night, and a couple of fellas on that pod, shouts to the homie Herms and Shane, they had expressed their love for running backs as well. Mm-hmm. Third round reversal favors us to where, cool, let me go ahead, pick early enough to where I can get a Christian McCaffrey or a Derrick Henry. I'll go and I secure my running back. I know that you guys aren't worried about running backs. I can wait and I can grab a Tom Brady at quarterback. I could grab a Russell Wilson at quarterback. So some of these different guys, that are just good enough for me to get the job done. They're being that second to third round, So third round reversal is tricky because what I'm noticing is it's making more people overthink and overvalue than what they should. Think of third round reversal whenever you're doing a regular mock. Whatever would happen in that third round normally for you, just think of that the reverse happening and planning for that. And that's what I recommend for people that have never experienced this before.
Mm-hmm.
I was a fan of the third round reversal this year because when I got put in SFB 9, I got the 108. Just that was the last position probably left, or the last spot in the entire league left. So. But I have every year since, just when I had the preference, like right, I'm going for the A spot again. Just let's make it tradition to where I always draft an SFB. And so the third round reversal definitely helped me get a little bit more, since I'm going to stick with the 8. You know, I'm not getting my choice. I'm going to have to see where the draft falls in that first round. But then in the second and then in the third this year, you know, I get to be up closer to the top. So I like it. It's gonna be fun. It's definitely is going to change some people's strategies, especially those early positions, on seeing, you know, exactly what they want to take, with not being able to pick again. Like that first isn't going to pick till 24th and then till 36th again. And so maybe, you know, they were going to go with Patrick Mahomes, but they don't want to be without a running back till 24th pick and everything. So it's going to be fun.
Yeah, no, I you just inspired me to just drop this take, Justin. Honest, and I appreciate you for it. If your goal is going in and you're grabbing, you know, Patty Mahomes, right off the brick, before that third round reversal comes, you need to do what Justin just said. You need to secure a running back. You need to secure a top end running back, like for real. If you're going to go in QB early or elite, I should make sure I put elite QB early. Like elite tight end early, you need to make sure that you're like, if you're gonna go elite tight end early, then you need to be stacking that, or you need to be getting that with the QB. But I mean, if you're gonna go elite QB early, I'm suggesting you could possibly wait on maybe tight end and snatch up that running back before that fucking third round reversal, because the boy Justin just put it out there for y'all. I think you're gonna be in trouble. I think early QB strategists could be in trouble for the rest of their roster construction. Now that you just said it that way, brother.
And you know what's really funny, and this is why I love doing this, is because personally for me, I was coming in and I was going to be fading running backs early. I was going to look tight end and QB heavy. I was going to say I'm going to be aiming for third down running backs that really get those pass catching situations, like a Hines, which, you know, he'll be able to get those first downs and kind of inflate his value. But the more I look at it, the more I'm seeing Derrick Henry, because of that first down running back, you know, bonus as well, is going to get a natural bump that you really wouldn't think about, because you're like, well, Derrick Henry, yeah, he rushes for a lot of yards, but he rushes for a lot of first downs. And that's just an additional stat pad that he's going to have on his numbers. And he actually might be a lot more secure than a lot of us are thinking. Whereas, you know, Cook, I know a lot of us come back thinking, you know, he's an injury prone type guy, even though he's only missed 2 games each of the last 2 seasons. But I do kind of understand what you guys are saying here, and it's opening my mind's eye. I have to say that.
I mean, so after hearing Justin's take, I mean, you know, what he just stated earlier. I mean, I'm not trying to be that guy. And Justin, you can correct me if I'm wrong and if I'm misinterpreting what you may have been saying, brother. I'm starting to fear for these QB early strategists. Like, I'm really. I mean, you shouldn't have headed to SFB with a lock strategy in mind, anyways. But the more and more that I think about third round reversal, I've been thinking about it over the last 24 hours. You know, we got 4 days till draft time. I'm starting to worry about QB early. I mean, Justin, what do you think before we close out? Because like you said it, so you inspired it. So I kind of want to hear from you now.
I'm all right with, like I said, I like my draft slot because I'm not even worried about going QB in the first round since I'm the 8th. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be rough. Or like I said, or if you end up deciding to go Kelsey with that first round pick that I've seen in some mocks, then all of a sudden, like I said, your best quarterback or running back is going to be the 24th pick overall, and then your best other one, like if you take a quarterback, then your best running back is going to be 36th overall. I mean, those 2 positions, like I said, it's just so hard. I mean, I definitely agree on the tight end stuff. You know, those top couple of guys definitely outscore everybody else, but you're going to be hurting at quite the other position. So, I mean, that 101, 102 range, it's hard. I mean, you get to think about it for the entire time and everything, so you don't have to sit there and wonder what everybody else is going to do, and then you do your thing. You can just decide up front, this is where I'm going. But you still sit there and overthink it so many times, and okay, what is going to happen on the back end, especially since I don't get 24-25, I get 24-36. And I don't envy that decision at all. Like I said, the 108 just happened to be what that's what I'm just trying to go for every year from now on. But especially with the third universal, I'm happy being on the back end and don't envy that position.
Yeah. And I'll end it with I'm happy with being a RB heavy strategist because I think I can eat more heavily in the format than others that are just over analyzing, overthinking. So
I think there's only one thing that we know for sure as a strategy for this SFB. It's get your wide receivers late.
Yeah.
Wide receivers late. That's the unanimous thing that we got out of everyone here is that wide receivers, that one position where you can afford to wait. Don't be the guy to get the first wide receiver because there's probably someone else that you're gonna regret getting late and miss getting later, right?
Yep, exactly. Just play it safe. Just this is the one time where you get to be chalky as possible. Like, I mean, you can take some risks. Like, you can gamble. Like, I'm not gonna say don't gamble, right? I mean, you're fighting for your charity. You're fighting for a cause. So don't not take chances. Because it's not like you're not doing this to line your own pockets. Like, you're doing this for a cause of your choice. So go out there, lay it all on the line. But I might like if you see me in the draft room being chalky as hell, just know I'm competing for a whole season. Like, I'm not trying to worry about what you're thinking. Like, no, I'm not taking Young Hoku in the first round.
And Justin, which charity were you playing for again this year? Like, where were you? I know you get the shirts and everything. For me, I'm doing the Wounded Warrior Project when I win, and I'm doing NAMI Walk when I lose, and I'm going to be donating $11 for each week of the season. So each week, whether I win or lose, someone's going to get a donation NAMI Walk because my mental health will be a little shaky, and Wounded Warrior because I'm sure it's going to be a battle to get those wins.
For me, it's still like I said, Scott has just inspired me every year that he's done it. And so I've already got several, I buy me and my wife and kids and everything, the shirts and get us all decked out in that. I do the SFB ABI makers and stuff to get some money going to fantasy cares for that. I have several leagues, and this is something that Scott preaches all the time is part of your league dues going to charity and everything. So we've already got that set up to go to fantasy cares as well. So I've still got kind of everything just going to fantasy cares. I did start with this too, just volunteering my time as well with Toys for Tots here in my local area. So I've got a lot of my money going to fantasy cares, and then a lot of my go to Toys for Tots as well, which is obviously where a lot of the fantasy care stuff goes. So,
and that's
awesome. Definitely that's what it's all about. And like I said, if any of y'all don't have, if your leagues are not donating something to charity, it's definitely something to think about adding. As Scott says all the time, nobody's going to miss one buy-in. Like out of the 12 of you, 10 of you, 14 of you, however many you're playing with, one buy-in isn't going to change anything really for that champion. But when everybody in the fantasy community starts doing that, it does change things for a lot of other people and a lot of those charities where that money's going.
Awesome. Yeah, we're as fantasy football, we are a $9 billion industry as an evaluation. We have the power and we have the ability, from all the guys that are running DraftKings, all the guys that are running FanDuel and all those other services, Monkey Knife Fight, Underdog, everything. The NFL is now buying into fantasy football. Like, we have the ability to really change lives and make a difference. So, it doesn't matter. It does matter. It matters from a standpoint. Like, we can make a difference. We can raise money. But it doesn't matter what you're trying to get out there and make a difference for. As long as you're doing it and using your platform, it's fucking baller.
Yep. And I think that's also part of the whole point of, why we make all this content, why you're doing that podathon and why a lot of these people are doing it is because the more we get out there and talk about these things, the more casual people we can engage and, spread the message of what's going on. And as that goes, it's like, buzz marketing, it'll just eventually start branching out to more and more people. And, soon the NFL will be sponsoring it, the sky's the limit with this stuff.
Speaking of the podathon, SFB podathon going down. Make sure you guys catch me on the midnight hour of the podathon, I'm gonna be dropping some fantasy football bars. I'm gonna come
Hey,
through and I'm be spitting. So I'm gonna spit. I'm gonna also drop some fantasy football knowledge and talk some sports. So it's all love, you know.
and let them know where they can find you on the regular, Robbie.
Oh, yo, fucking Google me. Google me, Rumboyz.com, breast Rumboyz with a Z. Catch me on the Sports Me app. Everybody download the Sports Me app. Please, please, please. Fucking download the Sports Me app. 30-second quick click content. You can record yourself, dropping a take, debating a take with myself or anybody, from around the world. This is going to be the new way to provide, fantasy football advice. If you got a new user, it's like, do I start DeAndre Hopkins or Justin Jefferson today? And I can only pick one of the two. I don't know why you'd have that scenario, but let's just use it for whatever fuck. You can go on the app and you can answer right away before fucking kickoff, and it's like boom, and then they hook you up. So show us love, download the app. That is my app. I am the chief marketing officer of that. I am part owner of that company. So support me. Support a young black man, please. Shit.
And Justin, how about you? Where can everyone find you?
Mainly just on Twitter. I don't write for any sites or anything. I do edit, or produce the Dynasty Tradecast
Awesome.
on the RotoViz network. Definitely go check it out too. I'm not talking on there all that often, but I do all the editing and everything, make sure they all sound good and get that pushed out. But then just on Twitter, at JPeak, with 2 E's, people do, at JPeakFF. Most of my stuff on Twitter too is I love finding different league ideas, kind of with like the Scott Fishbowl theme and everything, with trying out different stuff, not your typical PPR 10-person league and everything. So a lot of times, if anybody has leagues like that, they've got openings in them, I'm retweeting them and stuff like that. So if you're into those types of exotic leagues, is what we like to call them, then definitely follow me so I can get you in some more. One thing I did want to hit on real quick too, with the SFB, with the playoff system, you definitely want to swing for the fences, like what Robbie was talking about, with taking some gambles, because you're instead of your typical head-to-head playoffs, you're going the first week from 48 of your conference, so 96 are in your conference. Half of the conference makes the playoffs, and you're cutting 48 just the top 26 players, and then the next week it cuts from those 26 to 10. And then for 10 to 1. So instead of being head-to-head, that first week is almost kind of head-to-head, where half the team, half the league makes it. But then you go 26 to 10, that's a little bit less than half. And then that last week, 10 to 1, make it to the finals. And then the SFB finals is all 20 conference winners going, and it's just the top scorer. So swing for the fences. That is where some of those stacks out, or especially, if you do end up, you can find those late round guys that end up hitting hard. Then that last week, you can really set yourself apart, because you're going to have to be able to win the thing. And especially in a free league, there's nothing paid for making the playoffs. Your name's not getting out there. You're not winning any clout if you don't win the whole thing. So go out there, win it, boys.
Facts. And I think the last thing that I'll say here is, don't forget, week 14 is a bye week, and that's like the first week of the playoffs, right? That's a whole nother thing that I'll leave for everyone else to cover, because I don't want to lay my hand on that one. But for that note, guys, I'm the talented Mr. Taco. This is the Daily Sporting. I appreciate everyone for coming on today. All the comments, everything, I appreciate it. Until next time, I'm out, and we'll be back. We'll have more for you guys. Don't worry.